just a rebel looking for a place to be. So let's kick and push and coast. My man got a little older, became a better roller. Yeah, no helmet, hell bent on killing himself, is what his mama said. But he was feeling himself, got a little more swag in his style. Met his girlfriend.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now, that was a clip from Murder's FPV. He is one of my favorite pilots right now. I just love his flow, and he's really into tuning. And you can probably tell because his footage is just crystal clear. It's super smooth. And that's all from tuning. He doesn't use any stabilization or anything. So I've been really thinking about the tuning thing a lot lately after seeing some of his footage and just other like really good pilots around. I've been putting it off for so long. I figured it was finally time to do a little bit of tuning. Now, I'm by no means an expert. I didn't know anything about this like 2 days ago. So if something in my process that I did is wrong, or maybe you have some tips for me, let me know in the comments down below, because I would like to get more into this. After doing this process, it's incredible how much of a difference it makes. I didn't think it would be that big of a difference from stock PID rates and filters and all that, but my God, you guys, it's so much better. It flies so much better. So today I'm going to be talking about my process and how I went through tuning my PIDs and filters for the very first time. And I think at the end of this video, what I'm going to do just to see the difference between the stock and the updated PID rates and filters, I'm going to show a side-by-side little freestyle edit of the same location, and everything else is the same. The quad is exactly the same. The GoPro mounting method, the only thing that's different is the PID tuning. So I think that'll be a really good way to see just how much better you can get the footage with PID tuning alone. Now, I have yet to see it, so we're going to see. I'm really curious to find out what it looks like, but I have a feeling it's going to be a lot better because it sure feels a lot better on the controls. All right, well, let's get into it. Now, I'm not going to show like really step-by-step what I did. I'm more just going to provide an overview because, like I said, I'm not an expert in this. I don't want to put any false information out there. If you want to learn how to tune, I looked at Murder's FPV tutorial because I know he's really good at it, and I figured I'd just try his process out. And I found it was a lot easier to follow and easier to understand than somebody like Chris Rosser or Bardwell, for example. They're just a little, I don't know, they're a little too in the weeds and like lower level detail for me because I don't know anything about this. I'm coming in totally blind, so that's why I chose his. So the first thing I did was get a baseline test. And for that, I went to Blackbox and Betaflight, and I configured, let me see here. I just use like the onboard flash to get some baseline data to see how my quad performs with no tuning or no filtering, just completely stock. And then from there, I went into the Blackbox Explorer. That's another app you can download, and it basically just shows like the vibrations at different frequencies. And from there, you can use that data to get your filters set up and just get that going a little bit more, just to use a baseline thing. So I started there, and I got some basic filters set up, and I learned that you don't want to over filter the quad. You want to actually use as few filters as you can because you don't want to bog down the processor and unnecessary filtering. I don't know too much of the detail there as to why, but it does make sense to not bog it down with too many processes. So that's what I started at, and my quads are pretty beat up, and I don't have perfect motors on there. They are a little bit dinged up. I know that I should do this on a clean quad. I don't have a clean quad right now because they're also beat up from bashing and freestyling. So I could have done that a little bit better, a little bit differently, but I still think it yielded much better results. So from there, what I did is I went to the PID Toolbox app. Now that's another app you can download, and that's basically used to dial in your PID rates. So there's filters and then there's PID rates. They're two different things. The filters, it's my understanding, they just clean up vibration. That's essentially what they're used for. And the PIDs are used for the actual control, how the quad responds to the external forces and the stick movement on your transmitter. Now, the stock Betaflight PID rates are extremely low, especially the P gains I've noticed. The P gains I use now are way, way higher than the stock ones, and you can immediately tell if you take off and just fly for even 10 seconds. The quad feels a lot more crisp, a lot more responsive, and it doesn't overshoot position and feel kind of spongy like the stock rates do. And so along with the P, you got the D gain. And the D gain is kind of sketchy. I'm kind of afraid of it because I know that some people, if you put it too high, the motors can start getting really, really hot, and that's bad. That can cause like flyaways and oscillations and other sketchy stuff to happen. So you don't want to go too high. And throughout this whole process, what I was doing is checking the temperature of the motors. After every flight, I'd fly about a minute to try out my different settings, and then I'd land and I'd check the temperature. And I'd also listen if there's any weird sounds or like high-pitched like screaming or vibration or any weird sounds like that, I would stop. But luckily, because they were so low, I had a lot of room for improvement. And I'll show where I landed here in a second on the filters and the rates and all that. But just be careful with temperature and with the noise of the motors. You got to pay attention to that stuff because it could end very badly for you. Now, in the PID Toolbox app, you have a thing called the step response tool. And again, I didn't know a whole lot about the whole PID loop cycle and what it meant and what it's used for. I know it's used for control and to make something respond the way you want it to, but I didn't really know the details. Now, this tool made it a lot easier. I thought before you had to do this only by feel, but it turns out there actually is like a graphical interface where you can see data showing you how exactly to do this. And what the step response tool does is it shows you like a dashed line, and that's like the ideal or the perfect response. Now that would represent like a perfect, I put a stick input in and it does this response. But what you see in the graph is more like a line sloping up, and then it kind of tapers out around that. It's called the step response line, I think. And basically the point is to get that line as close to the dashed line in the middle as you can. So as you can see here, it's pretty clear that the very first iteration, you see it's numbered 1 and 2. And the first iteration shows your P, I, D, D max, and feed forward values. And you could see that the P values specifically, well, and the D, they're very, very low compared to what I ended up at. And then on the graph, you can see that like magenta type line, it's like way overshooting the dash line. And that's bad. What that means is you're way overcorrecting to get to some response, and then it like tapers so slowly down back to that line. And that's why it felt like it was overshooting, because it was. You can literally see it in the data right here. It was just nice to see data behind what I thought I was feeling, is like it validated what I already thought was happening. But as you can see here, that was really, really, really bad. Like if you show this to anybody that knows what they're doing, they would say, how are you flying this? That flies like shit. And it did fly like shit. I just didn't realize it until recently. But here you can see it's so clear and it's so much better now. Now, is there room for improvement from here? Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I'm no expert. I kind of just did like a basic tune here, but it is already so much better. I can already tell. But that was my basic process. I hope you guys got something out of that, at least for an overview if you're thinking about getting into this. And again, this is not meant for the people that know what they're doing. It's meant for the people like me that were kind of on the fence for a while and have been thinking about tuning, but really just haven't had a reason to. And I'm trying to tell you here that if you're a casual pilot, you probably don't need to mess with anything from the stock rates unless there's like a good reason to, like unless it feels way too spongy or you got some oscillations or anything like that. If you have that, then you should look into this for sure, because it can be dangerous at that point if there's oscillations. But if you're just casually cruising and you're not like doing YouTube or trying to make flight edits or anything like that, if you're just flying around, the stock rates are fine. I mean, the people that tell you that you have to tune your quads, they're coming from a point of they want the best footage possible. They want really clean and crisp control. Maybe they're racers or maybe they're just really good freestyle pilots. One of my biggest pet peeves, and really a huge reason I made this channel in the first place, is to make this hobby more attractive to the average Joe. There's a lot of engineers in this hobby and people that really know what they're doing and get really serious about it. And that's great. We need a lot of those people because they are what moves the tech forward and makes it better and makes it more capable. You absolutely need those people. They're very important. But we also need people that can speak the average Joe language. And I'm not saying that I can, I don't know, better than anyone else, but I at least know that to attract more people to the hobby, it needs to be simple. It needs to be easy to pick up by somebody without a technical mind. And that is what I want to try to do with this channel. That's why I want to get more into this technical side of things and try to relate it back to, do you even need to do this? It turns average people off when they see a bunch of this like tuning your quad and all this crazy stuff that you need to do, because you don't, to be honest. You really don't, unless you find a reason to do it, if you know what I'm saying, if that makes any sense at all. I'm not trying to knock anyone that's like really into tuning or anything, because they're extremely important. They are very smart people. We just need to find a way in this industry, in this hobby, to relate this to the average person, because anyone that's passionate about this hobby and about this industry will tell you that they want to get as many people as possible involved in this, excited about this, because it's our passion. Like we all love this, whether you got a YouTube or you just do it privately by yourself. We all love it, and we just want to make it accessible to everyone. We want as many people as possible to get into it. That's all I'm saying here. I don't mean to go on too much of a rant. All right, well, I'm going to quit blabbing now, and we're going to show some before and after freestyle footage to see if you guys, and I guess for me, if we can tell a difference between before and after, just in terms of how shaky it is, if it's smoother, if it looks crisper, because from my side, from controlling it, it does. But if you enjoyed this, if you liked my little breakdown of why I did this, if you want to see more things like this in the future, of where I take some technical topic and attempt to provide a more basic overview of it, drop me a like down below. Feel free to comment, and if you have any more suggestions, just drop them in the comments below. I'd really love to hear what you guys think. And please don't forget to subscribe. It really helps me out. It grows my channel. It gets my stuff out there. And I feel that it's important for people like me with a more basic voice to just get out there, because I think the average Joe needs to hear more stuff like this. But thanks for watching. Enjoy the footage.
It's obvious that you and me were meant to be, but it's killing me that you and I will never see. 'Cause I don't wanna be a dirty cigarette. Don't know how good that we would be together yet. 23 and you're as pretty as can be, and you're trying to see how good a man will drop his knee. But a cigarette kills you slow and it ain't good for you. You only call me when you got that stress in you. Girl, you might regret dressing up on me. Now you're thinking about the times that could have been. 'Cause you went and settled for what you want, instead of settling for what you need. Girl, you might cause I can never tell you no. Your beauty is what's got me in your full control. And the cigarette burns out slow and that's what I will do. But eventually this cigarette won't burn for you. Girl, you might regret passing up on me. Now you're thinking